Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today it's going to be a match between Namshar and Probe from WCS Spring. Top left-hand corner here on Port Aleksander is the Blue Zerg player Namshar. And in the bottom right-hand corner, his Australian opponent, the Red Protoss player Probe. Probe is known for cannon rushing, but everybody knows that, so he doesn't do it all the time in professional tournaments. And let's go ahead and get right on into it. Port Aleksander, an excellent map, in my opinion. You got these little hiding spaces for overlords, and the third place is easily accessible. And there are no gold bases, which I don't know. I don't like those very much. And this is a gateway. So yep, no cannon rushing here for Probe. Just a standard build. One get expand hatchcast pull here from Namshar. 95% sure about that. And come on, man. Where's your gas? Oh, hang on. Pool first? I mean, not pool first, but pool after hatch. Where the heck is this? This drone is looking for cannons. Look at him looking for proxies. He's like, are there pylons here? Are there cannons coming up? He is so ready for this. Ah, the fake out. It is the fake out. I kind of like this. Florencio has this idea wherein he feels like throwing down a pylon and then forcing your opponent to respond to it and then canceling the pylon is actually better for you. You come out ahead economically that way. So I think I agree with him on that. I mean, if you pull 4 or 5 drones off the line here, if you're an Namshar, you lose a lot of mining time and for nothing, right? The pylon gets canceled. Well, you want to pull if a cannon starts coming up. But until that point, don't worry about it. Don't freak out about it. I've been in this position before where I've had a Protoss throw up a pylon in my natural, and I'm like, hang on. I don't think there's anything going on. But then it turned out he actually had cannons up here on a different map, and I was like, oh. Anyway, it was a crazy game. It was a really crazy game. Really fun one there, too. But did I cast that? I don't think I did. It was pretty short in the grand scheme of things, so maybe, it might be part of the next cheese compilation. Which is coming up. If you want me to cast your cheese, send it to me at falconpaladin@gmail.com with the subject of cheese, and I'll get it in there. We're not getting as many submissions lately, so man, if you have some good stuff, please send it over, and it is more than likely to be chosen by my screeners, and then you'll be happy, okay? All right, Namshar not getting a third hatch yet. He is, there we go, starting to get up that 300 mineral count for the third base at about 2.5 minutes. He did want to get his queens out and his speed out first, which is fine. Totally fine, and the Stargate about halfway complete here for Probe. So, pretty darn standard opening. Nothing too crazy. Probe had the little fake-out pylon tossed down, but other than that, it hasn't been anything too nuts. Probe makes it all the way home, which doesn't happen all the time against Zerg. Lings and Queens really hate those guys. But in the end, Probe makes it all the way back. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Do we get an Oracle from this Stargate? The answer is we set a rally point Oracle on the way. Oracle's name is Doctor Who. Who is he? The Doctor, of course. One day, trying to once again to fix the TARDIS's camouflage technology, it turned into a Protoss Oracle. It decided to act like one as well. Now the Doctor tries to get it to turn back into a police box before it kills more living creatures, which, I don't know, Zerg. You think the Doctor respects Zerg life? I bet he does. He does a pretty good job representing or respecting life in general. Why do I keep wanting to say represent there? Respect. Respecting Zerg life. Oh, it's a double Oracle pair here. All right, that's interesting. We're going to go with the Doctor for now, but I have had some people submit Oracle pair names to me recently. So I'll use that one if we see that again. But for now, just an Oracle cruising out. That Spore Crawler's on the way. There's not a Queen in the main base as the Queen is hoofing it down in the natural. For some reason, why the heck are you down here? They are prepared for the Oracle to swing into the Nat, which, by the way, the Oracle is going to do. Oh, but the main base was wide open there for like 10 seconds. Interesting mind games there from Namshar. He knew where the Oracle would go. Maybe he has studied Probe's replays and knows his tendencies. Second Oracle, though. Third base, not protected at all. Okay, there are 2 queens. Just kidding. There are 2 queens here. Main base has a queen and a spore now. Natural base has only a spore. I'm just saying, there are some angles in which Oracles can get stuff done. But 2 queens? 2 queens versus 2 oracles. This is going to be 2 or 3 drone kills. Let's keep an eye on that real quick. At least 2 or 3. Ready to go. And that's about 3. That's 4. Yep. There's your 4. That's about right there. For 2 oracles with 2 queens and no spores. But, the Doctor manages... Oh, gets picked off. That range on the queens is always further than I think it is. Another Oracle comes in, though. Dig, Probe. Are you mass Oracling this? He kind of is. He's kind of going mass Oracle while getting a third base behind it. This is a little bit insane here out of Pro. What the heck, man? Starting with 3-4 Oracles in play. The queen count, we are still making queens, and there are 5 on the field. I don't think this is going to work out for Probe here. He's trying to kill Namshar early, but Namshar is ready to rock. He's prepared for this, making a Roach Warren, getting Evolution Chamber. Honestly, a Hydralisk Den might be a little bit better versus these Oracles, but Queens should be able to defend, and then the Roaches move across the map, like with a Nidus or something, and I think Probe might be in trouble. If you Nidus here with like 20 Roaches, I kind of feel like you almost just win. But Namshar doesn't seem to be interested in throwing down a Nidus network at all. 3 Oracles cruise into the third base and just start going to town here. 6 drones down. This seems like a little bit of a better effort than like Adept Harass or, I don't know, some Zealot Charge Harass. Either way, 7 drones go down. All 3 of these Oracles are alive anyway. Lings are trying to shut down this third, but the Adept count and there's a shield battery mean no. If you had Banelings, maybe. If you had Roaches, maybe. But you don't have any of those things. Observer does manage to set up here a pretty good eye on what comes out of the main base. And heads on down out. Hydralisk Den now on the way from Namshar, spreading his creep fairly well here too. Not really keeping most of his attention, but that's okay. Some players aren't as into creep spread as others are. 4th hatch down here to the south from Namshar, and Probe is making Immortals. As we can see here, Immortals on the way, Templar Archives warping on in, and I still feel like there was a window there of just like 15, 20 Roaches show up in the main base and everything just dies, but that's okay. It is hard to know those things. If you're worried about Oracles cruising on in and wrecking your house, then perhaps a Nidus is not necessarily top of your mind. Overseer comes in with a speed upgrade and says, aha, I see Templar Archives, additional gateways here, wonderful Warp Gate now coming in on a couple of those new dudes, Oracles hanging out in the top left-hand corner. Storm being researched, Lurker Den coming in here now. And working on range as well as speed for the Hydras. This is what I do too. I queue up both of those upgrades just because I don't want to forget them. They're really important for Hydras. And if you're going to make any number of them, if you don't have one of those upgrades, you're going to have a bad time. Trust me on that. Creep spread still, again, a little bit delayed up here to the north. Doing better to the south for some reason. He's not as interested in that. Revelation tossed down. 1 Oracle almost dead. Down to 37 HP. Not good. Recalling them out of there. Whoa, it actually looked like it was going to take the Overlord with it. How interesting would it be if you're in there, if you're like involved with the Protoss units and they recall, you just go back with them? That would be fun. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see how that would work out. But we've got an Immortal Zealot, High Templar, and Adept play here out of Probes. Third base up, trying to set up a 4th base here too, it looks like. And so far, both players seem pretty happy just to allow the other one to max out, and we'll call it good. 10 Overlords in production. Or 10 Hydralisks, rather, and 3 Overlords from Namshar. He's not going crazy with the Overlords. I would at this stage of the game. I'm like, I got about 80 workers. Let's just make 10 Overlords and call it good. But Namshar spending his money a little bit too good for that. Only has 600 and 700 minerals, so not entirely possible. Additional Hydras in production. He's really going all out with the Hydralisks. However, Storm is done. There are 6 High Templar on the field. It looks like Probe is preparing pretty well for what Namshar wants to throw at him here. I like the Overlord positioning here, just trying to see exactly what we're dealing with. And yeah, Immortal Storm Charge Lot. Pretty great. What you want here are Banelings for Namshar. However, he doesn't have any, nor does he have Centrifugal Hooks. So it's just more of a Roach Hydra play, which is really susceptible to Storm Immortal. I really don't see this working out for Namshar at all. He thinks about going in there, but he sees the bulk of Probe's army is there, decides to pull on out. No big deal. What the heck died over here? Feels like an Adept got murdered or something along those lines. Revelation tags a few of these Hydras, but not all of them. Namshar taking a 5th base down to the south. And Probe's 4th is now warping in. So these players seem fairly evenly matched as far as the macro goes. Like I said, they're both around 170, 180 supply here at 9 minutes. Namshar's got a pretty darn big Roach Hydra army. He split his army, but there's Storm defending the 3rd. And there's a bunch of stuff defending the 4th here too. So difficult thing to pick off any of these bases. I like the plan, I really do, but Probe is defending it exceptionally well. He's got defense on both positions. A couple cannons are going to go down, but otherwise I don't see this doing too much damage to Probe's economy. He's not going to lose a Nexus. He's not going to lose Probes at all. Oh my gosh, drops. Hydra Roach drop here from Namshar. He playing it like Terran, man. Probe can't see this, can he? No, he can't see this. This is a little bit scary here for Probe. You see some wings heading over that way. How did he know this was coming? Oh gosh, and there's Storm. Alright, well, this drop's not going to do a whole lot. The 3 Immortals are just going to wreck through everything here too. The Storm did a great job, but you know what? Extra Hydras trying to pick off these Immortals. Get the High Templar. Get the High Templar. Nicely done. Oh my gosh, the Ling's trying to get a run by in the third base. Nope, Storm says no. Storm says no. Bit of a Zealot attack here, catching a bunch of Hydras by accident and getting absolutely blasted into space for that. Dropping back here inside the main base a little bit now. The drop lords are empty, and as a result, they're not a threat to anybody, but they are forcing Probe to defend instead of attack, which allows Namshar to go ahead and saturate up this new 5th base if he wants. Maybe set up a 6th base, too. This is turning into a crazy, crazy macro game. Already at about 10.5 minutes. Probe's at 192 supply. Namshar is at 170. Resources lost 8,700 for Namshar and only 3,700 for Probe. So Probe has been extremely cost efficient here. He's killed 68 Lings, 36 Hydras, and 7 Roaches for an Immortal, 10 Zealots, 5 Stalkers, a High Templar, and an Oracle. I mean, it's really cost-efficient stuff. Zealots here at the southern base, they've got +2 attack and charge. Lurkers will end up saving this. If only because, you know, there's no detection here for the Zealots, but also Lurkers are pretty good against Zealots regardless. Moving on out, Probe. He's got Charge Lots, he's got Immortals, he's got Storm, he's got Archons, he's got everything you could want for a Protoss player. Namshar says, we're going to sneak around this backside. Maybe wipe out your third base. And maybe defend successfully at home here too. Shield Battery picked off, gets the forces the recall on a lot of that army. Nicely done, and then just pulls off. No big deal. Extreme patience here on display from Namshar. And Probe pulling back. The problem is with pulling back at this stage is a lot of creep spread is happening. And the more creep there is, the harder it's going to be for you to find anything, Probe. Really difficult stuff. Greater Spire on the way from Namshar. Broodlords are going to be the play. I don't know that Probe is responding to this. But Lurkers on the high ground. Detection available and a Storm here too. The Lurkers got to get out. And they do. They pull back. This base is absolutely toast. Bunch of Zealots chasing some Hydralisks to the north there too. The hatch ends up going down. First blood goes to Probe. And by first blood, I mean the first base going down here. The first hatchery and first Nexus to be killed. Probe's taking a 5th Nexus at the same time. Revelation tossed down on these Lurkers, so they are totally visible to all these Immortals. And Immortals doing that bonus damage versus Armored is just beautiful for Protoss. Versus Lurkers, assuming you have enough here. Corruptors on the way. Adaptive Talons coming in here too, allowing the Lurkers to burrow more quickly, which is actually really nice. I mean, allowing anything to do anything more quickly is just nice in StarCraft 2. And StarCraft 1. And all our RTSs, really. Gaming in general, speed is good. So, pushing on to the creep. Probe, he's got a bit of a, just a Zealot Immortal play. I'm really surprised we haven't seen Banelings out of Namshar here. There's a lot of Charge Lots on the field, and that generally means you want those Banes. Ground Carapace level 1 completing now for Namshar. Working on +3 missile attack, which means he's going to have some pretty good upgrades that way. But guess who's got the +3 on the way? It's Probe. He's working on it. Ling's trying to run in and do stuff at the 4th, but the cannon count is too high. The 5th base getting denied here by these Lings a little bit. Some Zealots do come in to try to deal with this. The Oracles could be of good use too, and they are. The 3 Oracles are still alive. Recalling them out was a good deal. Southern base by Namshar tend to be replanted. No, shutdown there. Probe is taking a lead here. Without question, he is taking a lead. His army supply is about the same here, but his Storm and his Immortals and his Archons are very good against Namshar's Plague. Oh, storming and immortaling the heck out of this northern army too. 12 kills on that Immortal. 9 kills on that one, 12 kills on that one, 12 kills on both of these. They are killing brothers there. 4 on the Archon, and carrier production has begun from Probe. All right. Not going Tempest in the face of the Greater Spire threat from Namshar, but the Corruptors are going to be around, but Broodlords on the way. Oh, I don't know that Broodlords are what you want versus these carriers, as it turns out. Yeah, this is a pretty scary Pro army. The Immortal count is absolutely disgusting. Got 9 of them. Most of them seem to be here in the north. Namshar has not been able to get off of 4 bases for quite some time. The Broodlords do get revealed, and they're very slow, which means Probe should be able to counter them quite nicely if he just, tries. But carriers, if they respond to it, should be able to shut it down quite nicely. The Hydra count does not seem all that high. Zealots coming on in. But the Lurkers are dealing with that pretty effectively. Lings and Queens and Lurkers and versus Charge Lots. A recall because the Broodlords catch this army out. This poor Archon. 6 kills. He done. Yeah, I mean, Probe's at 5 bases. Namshar's been on 4 for quite some time now. That is not boding well for the Zerg player. His attempt to go to tier 3 got scouted. It's been prepared for. There's Void Rays in production now, which are beautiful against Broodlords, as long as they're not getting picked out of the sky by Hydras, which, I don't know, there are some +3 Hydras here, not a whole ton. Losing any of these Hydras to cannons is bad for Namshar. And not as many as the Broodlords are here, raining down fire. The carriers are here to respond to the Broodlords, though. Oracle's trying to find stuff to kill over that way. Zealots coming around the top side. The Broodlords are getting chased down by the carriers. The Hydras are trying to pick off the interceptors. They're doing a pretty good job with it. Honestly, the Broodlords seem fairly healthy, and this base might actually just end up going down. Charge Lots charging into the natural base, taking out an evolution chamber, going after the Roach Warren possibly here, but Nexus down. First blood drawn by Namshar in this game. Charge Lots getting into the natural base. 5 drones going down. Some probes getting picked off here too as they long distance mine. Ooh, Oracle's getting picked out of the sky by the Hydralisks a little bit there as well. And the Zealots trying to take down the Infestation Pit, but well positioned. Well placed here. Hard to get to, actually. Hard to get a surround on that with Zealots, and it does end up staying alive. 5 Infestors on the way. Namshar's like, you know what? I have an Infestation Pit. Let's make some Infestors. Let's try maybe to get Neural Parasite versus these carriers, if at all possible. I don't know if he's going to have time to get it. Probe's getting a new 5th base up at the top right-hand corner. And Namshar, again, trying to take this southern base for his 6th, but Probe keeps coming on down this way and just causing him some problems consistently here. He is defending it better this time. Where are these Hydras going? These Hydras could get up here and do something about this. I don't know that Namshar knows about this base. He does not. I mean, it's a big deal, man. Being able to see what's going on. Spawning Pool getting it sniped down by these Charge Lots with +3 attack. And then they get wiped out. But again, Probe does not care about that at all. Taking down the Spawning Pool was enough. Replacing it here at the natural base is Namshar. Probe's at the main base. He's got recall. Fungal to slow down the advance of this army, but the natural hatch looks like it's going to go down. It's getting focused anyway. Nope, then they pull off. They pull off. They're worried about the Hydras on the high ground there. Fungal's, again, slowing the retreat of this army now. And Oracle is just throwing down Revelation where they can in the mix. Probe does not recall out because I don't think that's off cooldown. It is. He's fine. He just chose not to use it if he didn't need to. And I don't think he did in that particular situation. So 5th base up, scouted this time by the... Yeah. So that gets scouted by Namshar, but he's playing defense right now. 6th base up, happily for him. I think if Probe had killed this, it might just be game over for Namshar. As he's starting to get mined out on most of the bases he has any income coming from right now at all. Are we even getting Neural Parasite? You know what? No, there's a ton of Infestors out, but all they have is Fungal. This is weird, man. And Infested Terrans. Some maybe like a Fungal Infested Terran play is what we're looking at, but I am shocked he's not getting Neural Parasite here. Probe taking a 6th base up north. That should be fairly protected. And all the Oracles seem to be gone. By golly, they do. Nothing there whatsoever. Resources lost, 25,000 for Namshar, 17,000 for Probe. 6th base under attack by a lot of Hydras and Lings, and there's a couple Lurkers in the mix here too. 6th base under attack by just an immortal push here. Oh my gosh. That is some scary stuff for sure. Hydras decide to leave the 6th base of Probe alone, but he loses his 6th half tree. Down south there, man, that hurts. That really hurts. These Immortals are just like, you know what? Our usability is just kind of falling apart right now. So we're going to kill as much of stuff as we can, killing 2 hatcheries during this engagement, and then they're all going to die. 18 kills, 20 kills, 19 kills. I mean, Immortals just pay for themselves, even if you do suicide them into the situation where they end up dead, just to free up supply. I mean, that little push of killing 2 bases was worth it. Namshar taking a 7th base just to the right of the 3rd here. Army supply 127 to 118. Probe does have a lead. Additional Infestors in production. This is so many Infestors, and there's no Neural Parasite. I don't understand. I don't know what Namshar's going for here, but we're going to take a look, and we'll figure it out anyway. Probe has his 6 bases. He's got 66 workers. Namshar is currently throwing up 3 hatches at once. Never mind, the 7th base is done. Zealot's trying to shut down the 6th again. This has just been the site of so much Protoss violence. Actually throwing down Infested Terrans to deal with this. That's incredible stuff. And they will, because they benefit from upgrades. They have the +3 attack. Void Rays picking off a Hydralisk as Namshar retreats from that position. He wants to engage on creep here, and Probe is not interested in doing that at all. He's making 4 carriers to replace all the supply he lost with those Immortals. Again, intentionally lost, but still. Namshar still, he knows there's a base here, but he just hasn't scouted it fully. So Namshar needs to make something happen. He lost those bases. It slowed him down immensely. He's at 177 supply. He's working on +2 flyer attack, I guess, for Corruptors, which seems pretty good against this composition. But the Void Rays deal with the Corruptors pretty handily. It's really just this game of paper, rock, scissors. Is there any Storm in this at all? There are some High Templar down there. So it is a High Templar carrier Void Ray Archon army. Really hard to deal with for Zerg. And I gotta say what it comes down to is Neural Parasite on these carriers. And maybe on the Void Rays too, and just allow like a Corruptor Ball to deal with it. Void Ray is going to finish off this 6th. Just sniping it, no big deal. Going after some of these drones, taking down some of the static defenses. Drones getting absolutely massacred here by the Voids. 10, 11 drones go down. And Namshar is down to 42 workers. Oh man, Infested Terrans are so good in the anti-air. Look at these guys die. Yeah, the Void Rays, interestingly enough, I'm not sure that Probe was intending to sacrifice those dudes, but he did. Now Corruptors are a lot better. Broodlords, not as good. I don't know. What is Broodlord Infestor? Is this Wings of Liberty? What year is it? This is Broodlord Infestor. You just fungal stuff, you root them in place, and the Broodlords burn them down. It's a good strategy. I mean, thing is, the way Protoss dealt with it back then was using the mothership to throw down like a vortex on everything, but that's not here anymore, so I'm very interested to see what Probe is going to do about this. 4 more Infestors in production. He's got Pathogen Glands, right? He does. All right. Zealots are going after the Natural Hatchery, and they're going to get it. This number of hatches killed by Probe is pretty good. He's really injuring Namshar's ability to macro. 6th base going to die again. Zealots finally dealt with the natural base, but yeah, 6th base is done. That gets canceled. Infested Terrans tapped out, but Probe says, you guys are slow. The Oracle gets massacred. Dark Shrine on the way, +3 flyer attack getting researched for Namshar 2. Warping in a ton of Zealots in the main base. Going after the Greater Spire. This is such good play out of Probe. Just bam. That +3 attack gets canceled. Gets denied there. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Probe has made better plays here than Namshar has pretty consistently for the last 3 or 4 minutes at least. If not the entire game. It's 181 to 160 supply. Namshar is hanging on to his 7th base for dear life. He's got that gas income that he needs. Carrier group is actually pretty insane right now. There's 16 carriers and 3 more on the way. Probe's going to have a 19 carrier group, which I don't know that I've ever seen in all the time that I've cast StarCraft 2 on this channel. 19 carriers. It's just mass carrier for Probe, which doesn't seem like it'd be that good. As he throws up a 7th base of his own. Yep, that's a 7th baseman, 64 workers. He's doing a much better job economically than Namshar is. But I mean, I'm very interested to see what this mass infestor play is going to be. 7th base getting sniped down a little bit here. Feedback going down on the infestor. Storm whipping a little bit there. Better Storm on the infested Terrans, and most of them end up dead. Archon getting chewed to death by Broodlings, which is kind of hilarious. Storm catching a couple units there. Sacrifices himself in the process. Replacement Oracle is not dead. He does manage to flee back to the safety of the Golden Armada. This Warp Prism needs to die. Namshar needs to kill it. But he can't. He can't quite find it there yet. It is hiding in this dead space, and the Corruptor count is currently 0. So that's not going to happen. Unless he, like, heads it off at the pass down here to the left. But he's trying to find it with these Hydras, but he's just missing badly. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Warping. Going after the replacement Spire, but the priority here is killing the Warp Prism, and they do end up sniping it down. And then killing these zealots. So we're looking at only ground carapace level 2 there out of Namshar. So he doesn't have the 3 carapace yet. He is making a greater spire. He's got a secondary spire here too, which is good. And Probe's carrier group is kind of nuts, man. What are his upgrades at for air? 333. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Where the heck are Probes dying? Is he sacrificing? Is he just throwing Probes into the meat grinder? Possibly. Oh, interesting. DT attack. Trying to sneak on into the main. What is this? Is he going after hatcheries again? Seems fair. Oh, Neural Parasite gets denied. He was going for Neural. It was just way late. Lurker Den down. Evolution Chamber down. If he gets that Hydro... Ooh, this new spawning pool is dead too. And they can't get anything else. There's too many Hydras here and too much detection, but dang. That was a good little assassination move there out of Probe. 8th base attempted here by Namshar. Zealot hacking away at it. Eventually getting wiped out there too. Yeah, Probes are dying, and I feel like he is just sending them off to die to create more space for a mothership. Yep, mothership on the way. Yeah, Probe's main goal here is to not get Neural Parasited to death. The Neural Parasite is not here yet, so it might be a really good time for him to go in. The thing is, the threat of Infested Terrans is pretty insane too. 3-3 Infested Terran anti-air is no joke, man. They hit like trucks, but he's been storming those eggs really consistently well here. Infested Terrans pop and have nothing to do. Unfortunately, Zealot run by. Burrows being researched for Namshar. Hydralisk Den does go down to the Zealots. Are you kidding me? So many buildings have been sniped here by Probe. He's just been incredibly patient. He is happily sitting on 7 bases. Happily sitting at 49 workers. Most of the Probes that have died, he has sacrificed himself to allow for more Warp Prisms and for a mothership, which is going to be here momentarily. And Neural Parasite is still some time away, as we can see here. It's well over 50% complete, though, so maybe not as far away as I thought. Ground Armor level 1 coming in for Probe. He hasn't had that yet. That's interesting. He has really been, I guess, focused on the Sky Toss for most of the game, and that makes a lot of sense. Additional Broodlords in production now from Namshar. And yeah, this is just a game of tag right now. You can fungal these dudes and then throw out Infested Terrans below them. They're going to be in trouble. 8th base getting hacked away by Zealots. Does get saved by the Hydralisk Ball, but that is a really injured hatchery that's coming up right now. Probe attacking on in. Sniping down creep tumors on the edges of the creep here. Got the mothership in the group now. The Golden Armada is complete. And Neural Parasite is done too. So Namshar, he's got, does he have Burrow? He's got Burrow, right? Yeah, he's got Burrow. Fungal catching a few of these carriers, but then allowing them to get out there. DT warping towards the 3rd base, which is where a lot of the tech is here. Hydra's going to try to... That +3 attack, if it gets denied again, Namshar's going to be really sad, but it does get saved by the Hydra response team there. Changelings down onto the ground. Of course, there's Zealots, which are not really part of Probe's composition, so if he tries to send some Zealots in here, they're going to get spotted. Is what I'm trying to say. The mothership sneaks over and tries to kill an Overlord by herself, which... All right. Some exciting stuff. Overlord's getting picked off by the carrier group. Some of them do manage to flee and escape from that position. Namshar going for a 9th base. Yep, that's a 9th base down here. This is technically on Probe's side of the map. If he can get this, this can turn into a pretty good economic situation for him. Spore crawlers coming up at the new sources of income, recognizing the threat of the carrier group can be negated and mitigated somewhat just by the presence of some of those spores. Does Probe know about this? Probe does not know about this. Oh, Neural Parasite on the Oracles. Revelation tossed down on him, and then they wipe him out. Oh, Storm so consistently good on those Infested Terrans. Just beautiful play from that from Probe. He is making some more Zealots. Not actually warping them in on creep somehow this time around. Still doesn't know about this 9th hatchery. Namshar snuck one in here. Zealots going after. Nope. Going after the 8th base. Hydra group is here. Hydra assassination group is present. And as a result, no. I mean, Probe's happy with his composition. He's got a ton of carriers. He's got 19 carriers, Mothership, 5 High Templar, and that's pretty much it. That's all we're looking at right now. Zealots going after the Greater Spire. They do end up getting it there and attacking into this area. Doesn't seem like a good idea for Probe. He's storming, I guess, the army that tries to get up next to him. Second Spire does survive, but just barely, with all of 58 hit points to its name. But yeah, Namshar does manage to get down a 9th base up here. This is the one base that has not been taken yet. A lot of spores popping in all over the place here. I mean, this really feels like Wings of Liberty. Double Warp Prism trying to sneak around this way. The Hydra's caught wind of it somehow. I don't know if you should come over here, Warp Prisms. Oh boy. Well, one's down. The other one does manage to survive. That's why you have 2, I suppose. Warp Prism thinking about attacking the 3rd, going after the natural. There's not much here. Roaches aren't very good in this situation, so sniping the Roach Warren, not a big deal. Another couple queens popping out here for Namshar to go ahead and max out his supply at 200. Zealots do... Oh, they accidentally find the 9th base. They don't even know this is here until they do. Couple spines trying to come up, but the Zealots found them too early, and they end up getting canceled. The spores are running for their lives. And can the Hydralisks end up saving this hatchery is the question of the day. Yeah, the Hydra Ball, there's enough of them here to save it. It's just the hatchery is going to be down to like 100 HP by the time they do. And by that I mean 76 hit points. Zealots coming into the main. There are some spines trying to save the day. Additional Zealots warping on in here. Probe's just chucking minerals at Namshar at all times. And the 9th base does end up getting finished off by the Golden Armada, who comes down here to the south. Zealots hacking what is left of the defenses of Namshar's main. Also, Probes attacking Namshar's 8th. More Probes getting sacrificed here. Probe totally happy with throwing his dudes away. Neuroparasite on a couple of these carriers. And then tossing down Infested Terrans to make sure that Probe can't get up here and do anything about it. Alright, so a couple carriers down. That's a major victory there for Namshar, but it's not game-winning by any stretch. Some Hydras trying to defend the main base. The Zealots are right on top of them, hacking away. That +3 attack and that charge is so good. But enough reinforcements come in and they do get taken out. Attack in the middle of the map here. Namshar responding properly, and Probe is taking an 8th base of his own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The one base that has not been taken yet. Namshar trying to sneak that 9th base down for himself. Resources lost, 42,000 to 42,000. It's pretty even at this stage. Namshar's been able to kind of pull even with that. Somehow and some way. 15 drones in production from Namshar just for spores, I have to imagine. A lot of those spores made it out from the 9th, so they should be able to go back and take it down. Or throw down the defenses there. Alright. Another Warp Prism. Taken down by Corruptors. Zealots being dealt with here too. The Corruptor Ball is getting a little bit big. 16 Lings in production. The Zerglings do have +2 Ground Carapace and no attack upgrades. Not good. Not good for them. 8th base ends up getting sniped. Probe takes it down. Ground Armor level 3 finishing up for Probe now. +3 Flyer Carapace coming in 33 minutes into this game. And both players still fairly maxed out. 9th base again. The Zealots find it by accident. Take it down. Some of these... Nope, none of these tumors are going to make it. And Probe's 8th base happily running. He's got some cannons and some shield batteries here to help. 8th base being replanted. Namshar needs to hang on to this. And I don't know that he can. I mean, there are too many carriers here. Bam! The hatchery gets taken out without even being canceled. Queen Hydra versus fully upgraded charge lots, man. 3-3-3 on these dudes. They are hard to kill, but you can get there if you keep trying. Meanwhile, Overseers flying around, trying to see, is there any income there? Nope, definitely no income there for Probe, but still mining from effectively 3 bases here on 36 workers. His income is not great, but his bank is pretty good. 3,000, 9,000. Namshar is at 1,400, 4,000. So as far as bank goes, Probe has the lead there. He's actually making additional probes. He was like, maybe I do need more than, 30 at 35 minutes into this game. Seems like a good idea. Transfuses on the spores. Again, every interceptor you kill in this game is good for Namshar. Takes away from Probe's ability and his economic ability to make stuff happen, because we're going to mine this map out. I feel like at some point, man, Zealots just hold their own, man, versus these Hydras pretty effectively. Broodlords, I feel like, haven't done much in this game, as one's going to get sniped here. Oh, two get sniped there. Nice fungal. And there's the recall. And the recall gets out. Wow. The neural parasite tried to reach over all the way to where the carriers were, and they couldn't do it, so it got canceled. I've never seen that before. Neural parasite tossed down on stuff that gets recalled. Zoink! The little arm extends out crazy far. I don't know. Place your bets now, everybody. Who's going to win this thing? At this point, I kind of feel like Namshar has the right composition. He's just waiting for the right time to do it, Broodlords are trying to take down Probe's attempt at this 8th base up here, and I mean, the recall just got used, so Probe can't get up there in time to save it, I don't think. These Zealots, though, look at them taking down Broodlings. 11 kills on that Zealot, 8 kills on that Zealot, 6 kills on that Zealot. They die, but man, it takes a while to kill them. Base is kind of staying alive here for Namshar. Golden Armada down here to the south. Infested Terran anti-air just absolutely tears through interceptors. How many interceptors have died? 65. Only 65. That seems low, considering how much Hydra infested Terran play there has been. Nice fungal. Catching the observers. And yeah, the 8th base does go down. There's just a few Hydralisks. So good victory there for Namshar, but ends up... Probe does take down the 7th base down south here. Probe has a replacement base down to the south here too. I gotta say, after that, economically, Probe is in a much better position. He did end up losing this one, but he killed a base and took another base, so he's up 1 here. Probe replacing carrier, making 3 at a time, making a couple oracles. He does want that revelation ability at all times with his army. Sniping off a couple Hydralisks in the middle of the map. Namshar retreating. Part of what makes a really good StarCraft 2 player is knowing when to retreat. Seriously, I mean, you can't just A-move in every situation. You want to recognize when you're in trouble and to retreat and keep those units alive for another battle that is more in your terms. DT's just hacking stuff to death down here in the south. Getting chased down. Did they just lead? I think they just led Namshar to this base. He didn't know it was here. Now it's in trouble. Just kidding. The entire army for Probe is present. So all these Hydras are going to die. Most of them anyway. Okay, all of them. All of them die. Hydras are kind of garbage versus carriers for equal counts. Fungal infested Terrans. Here is your engagement. The insanity on display here. Broodlords versus the ground army. Neural Parasite on the carriers. This is what Namshar was waiting for here. Infested Terrans in the mix as well. Focusing down carriers. Namshar is trying to get a death victory here. Just absolutely waste. Probe, the infested Terrans getting massive direct hits off on these carriers, wiping them out. Interceptors getting picked off there too. Probe does manage to retreat with a good number of his own carriers. He still has 15 of them. And Probe has the ability to replace his army better than Namshar does, as Namshar does throw down 16 Corruptors into play. How is the Infestor count? 3. Oh no, the Infestor count is down to 3. And there were 35 killed. 35 Infestors have been killed by Probe in this game. That's insane. That might be his win victory, is taking down 35 of those Infestors. So Neural Parasite isn't nearly a threat anymore. Namshar is able to go for Corruptors here, some of which are revealed, and the Corruptor ball keeps growing. There are no Void Rays. Corruptor's actually not bad against carriers in equal numbers. They do have full upgrades, trying to make this thing happen again. Tossing down as many Infested Terrans as possible. The Corruptor's darting in from the left side. One carrier does go down. Another one goes down here. Infested Terrans taking out as many of these Interceptors as they can, but just being produced over and over again by Probe because he has the minerals to do it. Sitting at 2,000 minerals now. Namshar continuing to attack on in right now. The Broodlords going after ground targets. Carriers trying to deal with them. Some Stalkers get warped in, but there aren't enough to deal with the Broodlord. The Broodlord count is insane. The Corruptors are taking down Carriers. Another one ends up going down here. What a very, very close battle this is indeed. Interceptor count is at 14. It is not enough, and Namshar looks like he does manage to win the air battle. The ground battle goes to the Dark Templar. There are a couple Broodlords remaining here too. Oh boy, the carrier ball. Is it? That's the last one. All the carriers are dead. Namshar wins that battle handily. He's at 101 to 81 supply. And Corruptors are trying to find Stargates to wipe out here. A bunch of Stalkers warp in. Corruptors decide to get on out of there. Hydra's coming in to assist on wiping out Probe's 9th base, or whatever the heck this is down here to the south. And he does end up getting an army supply, 75 to 56. It's going to be Stalker Void Ray from Probe, though. It's a good counter to what's going on here versus Namshar's army supply. Namshar has a bunch of income on this one base. Got more income than Probe does anyway at this stage. As there are a lot. There are 38 probes at this one base for Probe. Archon's in the mix here too. Probe knows he can't sit back and let Namshar macro up. So he's definitely going to try to make something happen here. And I think he can. Honestly, the Hydra count is not that high. Just kidding. There's a ton more now. 13 Hydralisks. 3 more on the way. 3 Infestors coming into. Again, they have the Pathogen Glands upgraded. So they do have additional energy upon them popping out of those eggs. Oh, a burrowed Ling down here, so Probe can expand down there. At least not without Namshar knowing about it. I like it. I like this play. I really do. Some long-distance mining. Probe has a mass Archon army. Somehow, he had a ton of gas. I guess that makes sense. His gas bank is still fairly big. He's got 3,000 gas sitting here. The Stalkers do not trade out well versus Hydras, especially if the Hydras have full upgrades. Greater Spire going to finish here. A couple Infestors on the way. Additional, look at these High Templar. He's just like warping in High Templar en masse and then turning them into Archons. A mass Archon play. Making the Corruptors effectively useless. The Corruptors are effectively useless this time anyway. I think what Namshar needs is like a mass Hydra army. The Void Rays can be pretty good versus Broodlords. If we're going to see a couple more of those in the mix too. Man, here comes Probe. He could still do this. I know he lost that major engagement, but Fungal getting tossed down, Infestor sniped. Spores trying to take down the Void Rays if they can. That hatchery, that one source of income by Namshar is going to go down. He's trying to kite with the Broodlords, but they're getting focused down by Stalkers and Void Rays. And the Broodlords, still one Broodlord remaining there. Hydras trying to snipe down guys from distance. Army supply 189. Probe does have the lead in army right now, and that one source of income is going to go down. Namshar is in a huge amount of trouble. What he has is what he has. Meanwhile, Probe actually has income. He can still build stuff. This is looking really bad for Namshar all of a sudden. He won that one battle. The Broodlords are doing pretty well for themselves, though. The Fungal slowing stuff down. The Corruptor's trying to pick off the Void Rays, and they get a couple of them there. Spore Crawler's getting shots off here, too. And it's mainly just an Archon army here right now, but they're faster than the Broodlords. The Broodlords are really, really slow. Trying to kite back and back and back and back. The Broodlords are tossing down Broodling strikes onto this army. I bet he wishes he had the upgrade for the Broodlings, but he doesn't. He doesn't have any attack upgrades for the Broodlings at all. He has the armor upgrade, and that is nice, but there's a ring around the rosy play right now. Probe's also long-distance mining down here to the south. Production tab for Probe is absolutely empty right now. All of his APM is going into this Archon mix. At the moment, additional Stalkers joining the party. Armor supply is 90 to 55. Has Probe done it? Has Probe pulled it out and won this match despite losing the entire carrier fleet? And that's it. Namshar taps out. And Probe is your winner. His ability to re-macro up a giant army out of the bank that he had saved because he was so good off economically through most of that game. Absolutely insane. Insane comeback there from Probe. Although, again, if you looked at the bank, if you looked at the amount of workers, what Probe was working on, he had the ability to remax. Namshar lost a ton of stuff in that battle, too. It's not like he wiped out Probe's army and still had a giant one left over. He didn't. He had a couple of Broodlords and a few Corruptors, and that was it. So Probe's like, you know what? Mass fully upgraded Archons are pretty good. A bunch of High Templar in the mix there too, just so the Hydras coming up against them aren't that great. And they made a beeline for Namshar's one source of income, wiped it out, and that was it. Namshar recognized he couldn't make it happen. Not with what he had. He couldn't throw down another hatch because he only had 150 minerals in the bank. I guess he could have tried to long distance mine a little bit here, but he recognized he was beat and he tapped out. What an absolutely insane 45-minute PVZ. Ho, good times. Good times had by all there. Great win for Probe. Namshar making it happen there too. But long distance mining from here as well, which is hilarious. But man, this unit's lost tab is going to be insane. 101 drones died. 37 probes, a lot of those again self-sacrificed by Probe. So I don't know if they count. 14 Broodlords went down. 136 Hydras. 42 Infestors died, which is a huge number of Infestors. 2 Greater Spires went down, which you don't see all the time. 16 Queens of Viper. Probe ended up losing those 23 carriers. That is so much dead stuff. 79,000 resources lost for Probe is a lot of carrier. 27 High Templar. The Mothership died. 4 War Prisms. 191 Zealots doing their job. 13 hatches went down. 13 hatches died. That is so many hatcheries. In exchange, only 3 Nexuses. I think that was a big part of the play there too. So Probe just came down to that final battle, had the money to rebuild, and rebuilt smartly and got the win. All right. Well, you know what? That's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.